want to thank all the clergy for this beautiful weather, because they're in charge of seasonable weather, you know. But first of all, in all seriousness, I want to thank the Voinovich family for attending. We've got about a dozen of you here, I think, today, which is great. And sorry that Janet could not be here, but we understand the circumstances. It's certainly a privilege and an honor for us from the Serbian community to be able to do something to memorialize Senator Voinovich. He was a friend to many, all 120 ethnic groups in Cleveland. But of course, his heritage, because of his father being Serbian, and he was the architect for the Serbian cathedral that Father Bogoslav Kosic represents. So we're especially honored that we could do something in a special way to recognize Senator Voinovich. We've got a number of people here, which I'll ask some of them to speak. Dr. Weil Curry, who's a cardiologist with the Cleveland Clinic, but he's also, more importantly than that even, he's the president, chairman of the Greater Cleveland Garden Federation, and also the Cleveland Council on World Affairs. I don't know how he finds time to work on hearts, but that's what he does. And then we've got a special, this person has a bad back, I think a broken back. Ingrid Bubelis is here from the Lithuanian Garden. Nice to have you here. Okay. Pierre is here from the Lebanese Garden.
Thank you.
And the up-and-coming star, performer, singer, whatever else you wanted to do, Rocky Kirk. We've got Paul Burrick. Paul has been so active at that Czech hall. He's had me there 3 times in the last month. So anyway, Mira, who a longtime associate of Voinovich through her husband George. Nice to have you here, Mira. Jim Tracus is here. Nice to have you. August Post, you know, he's the grandfather of everybody.
Yeah.
Claire Rosacco is here to work with the senator for many years. So nice to have you all here. Some of them will speak a little bit later. Georgine Wheelo's here. Where's Georgine? Hi. She's back there. Okay. Mayor of South Euclid, another Serbian politician. One of only about 3 in the whole United States. Okay. Any rate, I just wanted to mention 2 personal experiences with the senator. One of them had, when he was running for governor, and he was out at the Oktoberfest. And it kind of got late in the afternoon, and Steve Bensick, the old operator of the Hofbrauhaus, prepared some Serbian barbecue lamb for him. I had my gypsy band, Serbian band, which the only reason I had the music was to keep my sanity while running the plain dealer. So we're serenaded, Janet and George says, you know, this is really fantastic. I'm having a great time. I says, well, if you're having such a great time when you become governor, I'll bring the orchestra and the Schlivovitz will come to the governor's mansion. The day after his inauguration, he called me up and said, hey, let's set a date in June. Come on down. So we jumped in a motorhome, we took the orchestra, we took Schlivovitz. He had a hell of a party that day, and about 100 nationality representatives from all around the state. And then when everybody had cleared out, he says, this was after a couple of years, he says, let's sing some really old Serbian songs that my father remembered. So we did till about 1 o'clock in the morning. So that was a nice remembrance. The other thing that happened was that later now, fast forward many years, he's on the board of Western and Southern, the big tournament in Cincinnati, tennis tournament. So because he's on the board, he gets special privileges. He's Serbian, half Serbian, I'm Serbian. Novak is playing down there. So the deal was, he would get 4 tickets for Friday and Saturday if I drove. So we meet 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday, we drive to Cincinnati, we watch tennis matches till evening, go have dinner, next morning we're back at the tennis courts, all day at the tennis courts, drive back. And for 4.5, 5 hours going and coming, and we did this 2 years. Carol and Janet said, if we would have had a tape recorder, we could have written 2 books on all the political stories that you guys told in those 5-hour trips there and back. At any rate, lots of fond memories. I could write a whole book myself, and all the wonderful memories that I have of Senator Voinovich. Some of you will wonder why this big rock is here. Well, first of all, we weren't going to do...
I was wondering that too.
Yeah, well, you should. I was starting to wonder because I had no idea the size it was going to be. In fact, I know Paul Burke didn't have an idea either because he told us where to put it. He was probably figuring something smaller. I came down here when the guys were bringing the boulder and I almost had a heart attack. I have a pacemaker anyway. But I saw two bobcats trying to maneuver this thing in place. Then I saw how much work was going to have to go into shaving off one side so they could put in a 4-foot tall, 3-foot wide memorial of the senator. At any rate, it's here. I don't think anybody's going to be able to steal it like they did Tesla one time, but God bless them. At this time, I'd like to ask Father Douglas Kosik to come up and lead us in the Lord's Prayer, and we'll ask the family to come up and have the unveiling, and then we'll go around and see who wants to speak, okay? Father Kosik.
We could read all together. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Lord, have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord, have mercy. O Lord Jesus Christ, our God, bless this gathering and all those who offer their love, talents for the upkeep and benefit of the Serbian garden, for thou art holy, now and ever and unto the ages of ages.
Amen. Thank you. So, anyway, I'll ask the Voinovich family to come up and help with the unveiling. I started to say the reason why we've got a big rock here. It kind of symbolizes Senator Voinovich because he was a rock in his own way because he would never sacrifice his personal values for political expediency. That was uppermost to him, the values. And like a rock, he never relinquished from that. So,
ready? 1, 2, 3, lift up.
Georgine, Mayor of South Euclid, I think you have something to present to the Voinovich family.
Well, first of all, I want to let you know your dad and grandfather was a good sounding board for me. And I have to tell you that at the time when my good friend Stephanie Tubbs Jones passed away, there were funds that they were going to send down from the feds to actually build a brand new YM school, Brush High School. And your dad called and says, Georgine, I'm fighting. They're trying to take the money away because Stephanie died and they wanted to give it to somebody else. And he led a charge. It wasn't successful, but he joined together so many different people from so many different circles of Stephanie's life. And it just showed the true man that he was. The other thing I wanted to say is, as a high-up town mayor, we got to bring forward an idea, and I don't know if you know this, but we give out the George Victor Voinovich Public Servant Award. And I was on the board when he came and spoke at Lander Haven. And it was just so heartfelt in his public service. And I know what you have given up over the years to have him serve. And we thank you for that. And so with that, I'm going to read this proclamation. And this proclamation is the honor and recognition of George V. Voinovich. Whereas on July 15, 1936, George Victor Voinovich was born in Cleveland, the son of Josephine Bernat, who was of Slovenian ancestry, and George S. Voinovich, who was of Serbian descent from Kordun, present-day Croatia. And he was a beloved public servant of the citizens of Ohio, who elected him to the positions of state representative, county auditor, county commissioner, mayor of Cleveland for 10 years, 2 terms as governor of Ohio, and 2 terms as U.S. Senator, where he was a staunch advocate for Eastern European countries. And George B. Voinovich was a true man of the people, taking joy in being of service to God and his fellow men for over 40 years in office. He took great pride in his Serbian heritage and culture, and the Serbian Culture Gardens was dedicated on October 5th, 2008, and was inspired by the people and land of Serbia. The garden is ascended with a curvy path taking you along a stretch of mature beech and oak trees, where the central terrace includes a symbolic cube of the Serbian crest and features a raised circular concrete setting area where it inscribes the motto, "Only unity saves the Serbs." A pebble mosaic replica of this can be found at Hilandar Monastery, the Patriarch of Pek, and Žica monasteries. It surrounds the cube in the middle of the terrace. 10 small terraces provide places to rest throughout the garden, and the garden also includes a number of busts featuring inventor and genius Nikola Tesla, the brilliant physicist and mathematician, and the wife of Albert Einstein, Mileva Maric, as well as other famous Serbian people. And in 2006, Alex Machaski, then president, publisher, and chief executive officer of the Plain Dealer, led this initiative to raise the funds necessary to create a new Serbian culture garden. And this garden is located within Rockefeller Park and was dedicated with Serbian government officials, Serbian clergy, Senator George Voinovich, who I got to polo dance next to. I didn't put that in there. Mayor Frank Jackson and many local Serbians and supporters, and was highlighted by the performance of the Kosovo Men's Choir and folk dancing. And where we gather here today to honor Senator Voinovich with his dedication, with the hopes that his legacy will long be remembered and celebrated for years to come. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Georgine Wheelo of the City of South Euclid, Ohio, and on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of the City of South Euclid, do hereby recognize and commemorate the legacy of the Honorable Senator George B. Voinovich, and look forward to many years of the garden's significance and heritage to be shared by the Serbian community and the world. And this is for you.
A longtime associate and head of international and cultural affairs when Senator Voinovich was mayor, and also when he was governor, was August Booth. August.
That's
I know you're going to keep it short. You can talk for 3 days.
Hello, family. I knew Voinovich and Voinovich family even before I started working in City Hall. So I stayed with him all years in City Hall as a mayor, all years in a governor's office, and then a close relationship when he was a senator. We went to all events together and traveled the world. But there are things that join us together. I remember an event like this with hundreds of people, and we are going through the public, and we are talking, and he says hello to so-and-so people, and then somebody comes around and says to me, you work for Voinovich? Voinovich turns around and he says, no, he doesn't work for me. Everybody says, wow, he just got fired. Voinovich says, no, he doesn't work for me. We work together. Now try to find administrator and boss who said that about people who are working together. We work together. That was his slogan. God
See,
bless him.
together we can do it.
Exactly.
Thank you. Mayor Rosacco, longtime associate, also important person at the Tri-C College, and also a commander of the Sovereign Order of St. John of Jerusalem. If we have any candidates, we'll sign them up later.
If you want to join, see us after.
We also have Chris Renane here, who just happens to be running for county commissioner. And we know if he becomes county commissioner, he'll find some money somewhere for the gardens down here.
Yay! That's not too much pressure, right, Chris? Thank you. So good to be with all of you, particularly to see the Voinovich family. I started working with George when I was right out of Ohio State at 22. That was a long time ago, you guys. He was the greatest. But you know what I loved about him? Is he taught us all it's faith, family, and community. And that has stayed with me my entire life. And I look at the family and think, wow, this is what it's all about. They are sensational. They carry on George's legacy. And just love you. And thanks everybody for being here.
Great. Last but not least, Dr. Lyle Curry. Lyle, head of the Garden Federation, Cleveland.
Thank you.
Who had a very successful One World Day last Sunday. 40,000 plus people.
What a nice event. What a nice memorial event here. I remember Senator Voinovich very well. I was still a newcomer to the city, and everybody talked about him so highly. And we met in several events, casual meetings, but I kept track of his, thinking and his statements and his dedication. He embodies the best in soft power, what's called in politics soft power, which is combination of great vision and great persuasion and great dedication to reach his goals and his statements softly and very effectively, very efficiently. And his love to the city was remarkable, and his love to his country and his heritage. He was involved in so many ethnic activities during his lifetime. So he certainly deserves that, and he is the best example for the new generations of Serbians and non-Serbians and everybody in the United States. I think every international community should read and learn about Mr. Voinovich. So congratulations for the choice. Thank you.
George Jr. Good.
Well, first of all, thank you all for coming. I see some familiar faces, and we're at a place that I remember very well. I was just telling the story of, I think it was maybe 2014 or 15, not long before my father passed away. He rented Lally the trolley, and he had the entire family, every one of the grandchildren, our families, and he had Lally the trolley drive around Cleveland, and he narrated. He had the microphone and narrated and told the stories about how did this building get built and whose office used to be there, and of course we stopped here, coming up Martin Luther King and visit the garden. It was a very memorable day. Thunderstorms in the middle of it too, but we still made our trips. I want to send you all my greetings from my mom. She wishes she could be here today, and she sends her warm regards. She wanted to make sure we take a few pictures to share with her, so I think we might have that covered pretty well. And thank you for everyone who spoke as well. I love hearing stories about my dad. And I never know where I'm going to get one. I was down in Florida near Kennedy Space Center, and a NASA engineer took 5 or 10 minutes to tell me about when my father would come to visit. He used to be at NASA Glenn, and just basically taking time and getting to know the people and really finding out what was going on. And anyway, stories are always welcome. So going back, I think many of you know my grandfather, George S. Voinovich, was very involved with the community. I remember him taking me out to Parma to see St. Sava's when I was a little kid. He passed away when I was 11, but I had the advantage of being the oldest grandchild, so I got to spend more time with him, and probably got spoiled a little bit too, because of that position. I think the city misses my dad. I know we certainly do. I think he could certainly be effective and very needed in Washington right now, but I'm not sure he would enjoy it that much right now.
He'd go crazy with all the money being spent in Washington.
No.
That's another matter.
Well, national debt, I mean, the sound, it's echoing in my ears. I can't help it. You know, as many of you know, and as was in the proclamation earlier, my grandmother is Slovenian and my grandfather is Serbian. And I think that my father's negotiating skills and ability to pull people together probably had something to do with his ability to do that. He made it clear when we were growing up that, you know, we should understand our cultural heritage and not only respect ours, but also respect those of others. I just mentioned we have been in this garden several times. I actually saw a YouTube video in the last couple days of the 2016 of it. No, I'm sorry, no. When would it have been? 2008 or 9 dedication here that he spoke at.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing to see him at this very same place and knowing that I was going to be here in a couple days as well.
Great. Good.
So I also was thinking that when we were growing up, we were never formally taught other languages other than the ones that we needed for school. But we remember Dobar dan over the breakfast table. Zdravo kako si every time I would run into him after
all
not
nice,
being
clean
home
words.
for a while. And those are just a few of them. I hope I'm pronouncing them, you know, correctly. I also wanted to mention that not only was he at the right place at the right time for so many reasons. In Cleveland, to serve the cultural community and the nationalities movement here, and then as governor, with a wider playing field, he could do even more. And then when he went to the Senate, and especially with his time on the Foreign Relations Committee, he so much cared about seeing Eastern European nations get into NATO. We heard a lot about that over the dinner table over the years, because it was a real mission of his to make sure that he was securing independence and freedom for, particularly for former Iron Curtain nations. And with that background, this is even more true seeing how big this was. I saw a proof of this, and I saw at the bottom it said 2 by 3.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought,
That was something else.
wait a minute, I had no idea, but this was just beautiful.
Neither did Paul.
But I know my dad would have been humbled to be memorialized in this garden with some of the giants that are here. From the YouTube video I saw earlier, and this is really true, in our house, required reading was From Immigrant to Inventor, which is the story of Michael Kupin.
Yep.
And I remember reading that when I was a teenager, and that got me interested in engineering, which I didn't end up pursuing, but I learned a lot. So, but I know he's looking down now, and so many of his dear friends here at this dedication. On behalf of my mom and the entire family, we thank you all for being here. Thank you, Alex, in particular, for arranging all this and having this wonderful memorial to my father that I'm going to get to bring my grandkids to see.
Thank you. I'm going to take the liberty of telling you one more quick story, because there are hundreds of them about the senator. But he was governor, and just as happened recently when IdeaStream decided to cut out all ethnic programming. But this wasn't the first time that it happened. About 15 years ago, I don't know when it was, but there was another movement by a new program director there to get rid of all ethnic programming. So some of the ethnic community got a hold of me. I got a hold of George, the governor at that time, and this is what's happening in Cleveland. He said, oh no, it's not going to happen. He says, we give them $700,000 a year from the state. And magically, none of the ethnic programming at that time was canceled. Now it's a different story, you know. But anyway, listen, we've got plenty of slivovitz, cevapcici, Serbian little sausages, all kinds of other snacks, water, pop, slivo, help yourself.
Group photo?
Sure.
I'm going to crop you out. Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Thank you, Don.
I am so honored this evening to attend the unveiling of this beautiful plaque of Senator Voinovich. Senator Voinovich, who was such a true friend of my country, of Lithuania, who did so much work to make sure Lithuania became a member of NATO. And we are so thankful, we'll never forget his work, that Lithuania would always remain free. And may he rest in peace.
Well, George Voinovich, when I was on the school board, he was mayor. And at that time, we got together several times to discuss how the city and the school board could help each other. And also, he was the one who appointed me as judge in 1991.
You're always home in Cuyahoga County,
You know, he became active as well, very active in the nationalities movement.
Was he a friend of your dad's, a colleague?
Friend of my dad's, of course, and Irene Morrow and myself. And we miss him greatly in the movement and the other cultural and ethnic organizations.
Very good. I'm Dan Hansen with ClevelandPeople.com, and we're here at the unveiling of the George Voinovich monument here in the Serbian Cultural Garden. And I have because of our work with all the ethnic communities, I have a lot of stories and memories of, well, I still call him Mayor Voinovich, but of course he went on to become governor and senator. But the one thing that really stands out for me is at so many events he would say, you know, people who appreciate and honor their ethnic heritage are great Americans. And he appreciated and honored his Serbian and Slovenian heritage, and he was a great American. So this is a very deserving honor, and it'll be here forever in the Serbian garden, and we wish the best to his wife and family, and thank you for all your service, Mayor Voinovich.